guys, welcome back to this channel. Thank you for stopping by watching our previous video. This time, we're going to show you the best reincarnation-themed anime. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe this channel, hit the like button, and ring the notification bell for our videos. Well, reincarnation or rebirth is a philosophical or religious concept that the non-physical essence of living things begins a new life in a different physical or body form of the biological death. In most beliefs involving reincarnation, the soul is depicted as an immortal being, and the only thing that can perish is the body. In anime, we often see various cases of reincarnation and revived in the new world. Most of them are reborn into a fancy world. Among the best reincarnation-themed anime, we have selected some of them. Here is a video of the best reincarnation-themed anime you can watch in your leisure time. Happy watching! Number 10 is Dark and Scissors. Dark and Scissors, or Inato Hosami wa Tsukayu in Japanese, is a comedy supernatural anime which aired in summer 2013. This television anime series is adapted from a Japanese light novel series written by Shinsuke Sarai and illustrated by Tetsuhiro Nobeshima. The plot will revolve around a young man who's murdered and reincarnated as a dog. Kazuhito Harumi is a high school boy who loves reading books. The story begins when he tries to protect other people from an assassination. He was eventually being shot. The story will revolve around Kazuhito in his second life in the form of a dog. Number 9 is In Another World with My Smartphone. There's nothing more wonderful than the main character in this anime. Aired in summer 2017, this television anime series is adapted from a Japanese light novel series written by Patara Fuyuhara and illustrated by Eiji Osatsuka that carries a comedy harem as the main genre. The story will follow the reincarnation journey of a young man as he was accidentally killed by Cold. 15-year-old Toya Mochizuki was accidentally killed by Cold. As an apologizing, God allows him to be revived. Reincarnated to the fancy world, the story will follow the journey of Toya as he meets the main heroines. Number 8 is Wise Man's Grandchild. Aired in spring 2019, Wise Man's Grandchild is adapted from a Japanese light novel series written by Tsuyoshi Yoshioka and illustrated by Seiji Kikuchi, which carries a comedy romance as the main genre. The story will revolve around a normal man as he was killed in an accident and is born in the fancy world filled with magics and demons. Shin Wolfwood is a reincarnated man raised by the patriot hero sage Merlin Wolfwood. When he begins to be taught by the strongest sage in his era, he tries to combine his memories in the past and the knowledge of magic he has now. The story will follow Shin as he becomes one of the most talented and terrifying wizards. Number 7 is There's a Zombie of the Dead. There's a Zombie of the Dead is adapted from a Japanese light novel series by Shinichi Kimura, with illustrations by Kobuchi and Muririn. It's a comedy harem anime which aired in spring 2012. The story will follow the journey of a young man who one day was killed and revived as a zombie. Ayumu Aikawa is a zombie who was once a normal high school boy. One day, he is killed and revived as a zombie by a necromancer named Yekliwood Hellside. Not only he meets Yekliwood, throughout the series, he will be encountered ghosts with unique backgrounds. Number 6 is So I'm a Spider, So What? There is one more anime whom the character was reincarnated as an animal. Aired in winter 2021, So I'm a Spider, So What? Is a comedy fantasy anime which is adapted from a Japanese light novel series written by Okina Baba and illustrated by Tsukasa Kiryu. The story will follow the reincarnation journey of a high school girl as she becomes a spider in the fancy world. It will follow the struggle of the main character when she struggles to survive and to defeat against creatures much stronger than herself. while retaining her human mind as an animal. Number 5 is Angel Beats. Aired in spring 2010, Angel Beats is an original anime produced by PAX, which carries a comedy drama as the main genre, with a story and scenario written by Jun Maeda. The story is set in the environment of a high school in the afterlife, a type of limbo for people who have experienced trauma or hardships in life and must overcome them before passing on and being reincarnated. The story follows Yuzuru Atanashi, a boy with amnesia who ends up in the afterlife. He meets Yuri Nakamura, a girl who invites him to join the Afterlife Battlefront, an organization she founded and leads that rebels against a nonsense god. Number 4 is Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation. Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation is a drama fantasy anime which premiered in winter 2021. It's adapted from a Japanese light novel series by Refugee Namagonote, which will center on the journey of a jobless man who one day was reincarnated to the fancy world while retaining his past memories. Determined to live his second life without regrets, 34-year-old Ned experiences death and is revived to the fancy world. Having his new name in life, Rudius Greyrod desires to live better and will do anything he could now. Number 3 is Saga of Tanya the Evil. Saga of Tanya the Evil, or Yojo Zenki in Japanese, is an action military anime which is quite interesting. Aired in winter 2017, this television anime series is adapted from a Japanese light novel series written by Kaoru Zen and illustrated by Shinobu Shinotsuki that will revolve around an atheist man who one day was killed by his subordinate and was reborn in the fancy world as a young girl. The story of follows Tanya de Gurechov, a young orphan girl who one day joins the Empire's Mage Corps and fight in the war, where she's known as a ruthless warrior. Number 2 is Konosuba. Carrying a comedy supernatural as a main genre, Konosuba is adapted from a Japanese light novel series written by Natsume Akatsuki which premiered in winter 2016. The story will follow the journey of a young man who is reincarnated to the fancy world after experiencing a very embarrassing death. Kazuma Sato, after his embarrassing death, encounters a goddess who offers to reincarnate him in another world. Accompanied with a useless goddess, the story will revolve around Kazuma and the people around him when he travels around that ends in chaos. Number 1 is That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. Reincarnated as a Slime? That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime is an action fantasy anime which is adapted from a Japanese fantasy light novel series written by Fierce. The story begins with a salaryman who was killed and reincarnated to another world as a slime. Satoru Mikami is an ordinary 37-year-old corporate worker living in Tokyo. One day, he was murdered by a strange figure who attacks him. Killed and reincarnated in another world as a slime, the story will follow a slime named Rimuru as he begins to explore the fancy world full of monsters and demons. Well, that's the list of the best reincarnation-themed anime. Do you have any favorite ones on the list? If you do, let us know in the comment section below. Be sure to hit the like button and share this video as much as you can to friends if you really enjoyed this. Thanks a lot for watching and see you next time.